Hey everyone, happy Tuesday night. I am a few minutes late for this interview because Liz and I were having some technical difficulties. So while people are hopping on to join, I'm going to hopefully be able to invite her here. We were originally going to be doing this on Zoom and streaming, but that functionality is no longer working. Okay, so here's Liz. Liz, I am going to click bring you on the camera. So I'm allowing you to join me as a guest. So I'm adding you here. And hopefully this works. We'll give it a couple seconds.
All right, it worked.
I'm so excited.
Oh my god. Are you guys hearing the echo? Okay. Might just be me.
Hi, Shruti.
Hi, Shruti.
I want to see the comments, but I'm afraid to turn my phone. If I do, it's going to disconnect us or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what, Liz? I think I'm actually hearing myself on your end.
Can you
put your volume off?
My volume. Is that better?
I think that's
better. Yeah.
Okay, I just turned my volume down.
Oh,
Jen.
Can you mute
Can you mute it?
Or is it
all the off?
Is that better?
Let me try again.
That's totally muted.
Mine's
working.
What about that?
Mine's completely muted.
And you don't hear
your own voice echoing?
Nope.
For those of you who
are live, are you hearing my voice echoing or not?
Or just more
back?
Wait for some time.
Oh. Now I can see the comments too.
Yeah. All right,
Why am I?
Hi, Mom. Oh, hi, Gabby. I'm echoing. Liz is echoing.
No, it's just me. All right, I don't know. Since what we do
talking,
it's
gonna roll with it.
All right. So you guys, thank you so much for being on tonight. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Athena Clinton. I'm the owner and founder of Athena. And Liz is one of my rock star clients. And I always will talk about my results that I help my clients get. And I didn't want to just talk about it. I wanted to bring on one of my clients in real time and let them share this story. So I'm really sorry if it's echoing. But Liz, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself first from a personal standpoint, and then we'll get into some of the stuff.
Okay. All right. So I have pretty much, I would call myself been an athlete my whole life. I've, just to give you an idea, I'm like 6'1", so I'm like fairly big girl comparatively to most women. And so I've always been an athlete. I played volleyball, basketball, softball all through high school. Played a little bit in college, women's leagues, the whole nine. After I had my first daughter, I have a 6-year-old and I have a 6-month-old. And after I had my first daughter, I got into running, mainly to lose weight. And after I did it for a while, I realized I actually enjoyed it. And it wasn't just about weight loss. So I did that for a while. And yeah, and I guess struggled all over the place with weight loss and body image and just confidence all around. So at some point, it kind of led me to Athena. So
I'm so
glad it's it.
I think it was through my blog.
My blog back in the day, right?
Well, we have like a mutual friend, and then who said you would love her, go check her out, and then yeah, through that's how I ended up, with coaching and all that.
Yeah, awesome.
So
tell us a little more about what your history with diet and size kind of was, like in a little more depth. Like where were you at? What was the place that you were at that then led you to I need to start coaching?
So I probably started dieting when I was in middle school, maybe. I know that in high school I would eat a small side salad and then go to a 3-hour basketball practice because I felt like I was too big or I was too fat or whatever. So it probably started like seriously back then. Yeah. And then all through my adult life, it was trying every single diet. So I did keto, I did Weight Watchers, I did no carb, low carb, high fat, high protein, everything. I literally tried everything. I did a cabbage diet once where you just eat like cabbage soup for 5 days.
I was just going to ask you what the most ridiculous one that you've done.
Yeah, I did a lot of Weight Watcher meals. I counted all the points. I did everything. Every single diet known to mankind, I tried it. And every single one, I would find success for a while. I would lose weight. It would be awesome because I was skinnier, but I felt awful. I had no energy. I was constantly hungry, and it wasn't any healthier. So like my blood pressure was still the same. I was miserable. I was miserable. So at some point I decided I was being a terrible example for my daughter. My daughter she's going to be a giant girl too. And so I wanted to have her be confident in the person she was and not go through this hatred of the scale, having that be something that just like ruled her life like it had ruled mine for so long. And so I kind of decided I needed to do something different because this was ridiculous. And I found myself avoiding social situations because there would be food or drink, and I didn't want to be put in that situation because I was good all week or I was good all day. I didn't want to have to go to happy hour and make decisions, or decide, oh, I'm not going to eat that, or oh, I'm on a diet. So that's when that's so common.
People just really get nervous about how am I going to be on my routine, my normal circumstances, something's off track.
Yep.
I think it's really powerful
that you can recognize you didn't want the same things for your daughter growing up that maybe you went through.
And
children, they might not always be listening, but they're always watching, they hear, they form.
Yep. And that was my whole thing. It was like I was tired of stressing out over every single bite of food I put into my mouth or every single event I went to. Like there'd be a family function and I just was like, what kind of food are they going to have there? Am I going to be able to eat it? What if there's cake? Like, God forbid there's cupcakes. Like, what am I going to do? And so
like, what if there's nothing that's allowed?
Yeah. Like I can't eat any of this food. I'm not allowed to have any of this food. Or if I eat that, then I'm going to have to go run 3 miles because I have to work it off, I was tired of it. I was tired of counting points. I was tired of obsessing over every single thing I ate and having to plan every single thing that I ate all the time. It's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
Yep.
There's no way to live. Do you have any like one moment or like family function or social event that you really remember? Stressing about, or like even maybe after you were like, I was so good while I was there, and then it ended up spiraling after.
I think the biggest thing for me was that we would want to do, like, say on a Friday night, like family pizza night, or make cookies with my daughter. And I wouldn't want to do them. I wouldn't want to do those things. I was afraid to do those things. Like, what was I going to eat if we did pizza night? Because I'm not allowed to have pizza. Or when I was doing keto, I could only eat the toppings. And craziness, you know? And it was this way of living my life that my daughter was seeing. And I realized that I did not want her to be this person when she was older. And so for me, it was like not necessarily one specific event, but I think those daily of like, you know, weekly events, daily events or whatever, when it came to, you know, hanging out with my friends or, you know, going out to dinner with my daughter or whatever.
Yeah. And
all of those things, they all compound. They all
yeah.
eventually
Right. And well, I just kind of got tired of, we'd all go out to dinner and my daughter would get, you know, mac and cheese or whatever. And my husband would get whatever he wanted. And then I would be over there saying, can I have a side salad with fat-free balsamic on the side, and be miserable and water, and that's it. And then be starving and be miserable because that's not really what I wanted to eat, or I was still hungry. So it was awful. It was awful. I just wouldn't even do it because it was awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's
talk about how you came to that point.
Enough was enough.
Enough was enough.
You didn't want to
feel terrible anymore. You didn't want to feel like you were living life like that.
You don't want to miss out.
You don't want to miss out on your family experiences
or friend
experiences.
Yep.
So you came to
me. Booked your connection call. Like,
were you nervous?
Reaching out to me about that?
Yeah. See, I was terrified because for me, it was, I know how to lift weights. I know how to work out. And for me, and I know how to eat healthy. So I'm like, well, what is this girl going to tell me that I don't already know? Like, I know what I'm doing. How is she going to help me? And for me, my biggest thing was like everything up here. Like all these crazy ideas I had, or all these things that I thought were the right way or the only way to lose weight.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's kind of where I was at. I was like, what is she going to tell me that I don't already know? Or how is this really going to help me? But I was so desperate to not continue to live my life that way anymore that's why I reached out and said, okay, I'm giving you my 4 months or whatever it was. And let's see how this goes, you know?
Yeah. And
I'm really glad that you said that. I think that is a big thing that holds people back.
It's not
like I'll be very honest. It's not like I'm going to tell people anything totally earth-shattering.
When you work with me,
right? Like, it's not like I'm gonna tell you to eat a magic food, or I'm gonna introduce you to something new. In terms of like the basics, I teach the basics because they work.
But like you said, the mindset is so important. It has to start there. If you don't have your mind right, nothing else will follow.
Yeah, I feel like.
And then
go ahead. On the mental part of it, I started to lose weight and I started to get stronger and I felt better about it every single day. Like I would be able to look in the mirror and not feel awful about myself. And I probably, I maybe didn't weigh any less, but mentally I was like, you know what, I kicked butt today. And I was able to see that and recognize that, where before I couldn't do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. You were definitely in a place of shoulds, like I should be for long. I should have done this today, more than that today.
Yeah, it was only a measurement that if the scale number didn't go down, that I wasn't successful. Like I wasn't able to gauge my success by any other measure than just the scale. And now I'm at a place where the scale is like just a number that tells me how much I weigh. That's it. It doesn't say how much I weigh. It doesn't say how much work I put in, or how many pounds I can lift, or how amazing my squat is now. Like the scale doesn't tell me any of that stuff. So where before it was the only measure for me of my success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think along with all the mindset stuff too,
for you is more of like that approach. I talk about that a lot
with my
coaching philosophy is that yes, we take the basics, and yes, we got to go into the mindset stuff.
But you have information,
and how do you implement it in a way that works for your life?
Right. It's not about like being perfect. And I think I am a huge perfectionist, not even just like I've been this way since I was a little girl and I know it. So I felt that if I wasn't perfect with everything that I did, then I was failing. Instead of seeing or celebrating any successes that I had, where now I could be like, hey, I drank all my water today. That's a success. Or I didn't spend my entire Sunday meal prepping because I know I don't need to do that anymore to be successful. Where before, if I didn't do that, I was failing.
Oh yeah.
All or nothing.
Absolutely.
So many of us are like that. If you had to pinpoint maybe like one strategy or like one philosophy that you went over
that really
has been life changing for you,
what would that be?
What would that be?
I didn't give you
that question.
No, I didn't even prep that one. Well, my littlest, easiest one that I always do every day is water before coffee.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Which I think has definitely changed my life a lot. I'm drinking more water and not living on caffeine, so that's positive. I'm trying to think one thing that's changed. I think it's just for me the idea of like anti-perfect. Like the idea that it doesn't, like, what is perfect? Who is, you know what I mean? Like my perfect may be different than your perfect, and perfect is like relative. I don't know. Like it's not about this, okay, I plan to work out Monday through Friday and life happened and I couldn't do a workout. Now I failed. And, you know, like getting away from that idea that everything has to be perfect all the time.
Yeah.
And having like the flexibility with it, I guess, would be what's changed for me.
Yeah. And
I think flipping the script. If I had to name a phrase for you.
But that
comes into play with anti-perfect.
I remember one of my first workouts that you had given to me, and I was in the gym and I was doing my workout, and I finished my workout, and I remember I was like lifting like, you know, 25-pound dumbbells or something, and I looked in the mirror, and for a half second I was like, whoa, I look really fat. And then I was like, no, shut up. Like, you look really strong. And that was a moment for me that was just so amazing, because I had so many times where I can remember running a half marathon, like training my butt off, running a half marathon. And the only thing I could recognize in my finishing photos was that I looked fat. And it was like, no, like you're amazing. Like you ran a freaking half marathon. Celebrate that and stop worrying about, oh, your thighs look big. Like, you know, so I think that for me was a huge thing, is that I can find myself when I have those moments of feeling, I don't want to say feeling bad or picking out things about like picking myself apart. I can flip that now and kind of reevaluate. Sorry, guys.
Oh my god.
Man down. But I can like totally flip that around and not dwell on these crazy things. Like I still have those feelings sometimes, but they don't like encompass my life.
Yes. And I
love that. Because the goal is not that these moments are never going to happen.
We're all
human, right?
So it's
just that they'll happen less and less. And when they do happen, we're able to catch ourselves going down that road.
Right. And that's what it is, like switching that idea of like there was a picture of me from a race maybe a month ago. And it was funny because the girl who was next to me was like, hey, let's race to the finish kind of thing. Like she kind of said something to me, was like, hey, let's go. And I'm like, let's go. So we're like all out sprinting to the finish line. And the picture of us, we both like have both feet off the ground, look super strong. And for a half second, I was like, whoa, I look kind of fat. And then I was like, are you kidding me? I've been trying to get a photo with both my feet off the ground when I run for years.
I know what photo
you're talking about too.
because I was so excited about it. But you know what I'm saying? Like my initial thought was, oh, I look fat, or, oh, you know what I mean? And then I was like, no, are you kidding? Like, stop it. Don't even go there. You look great, you know? So
yeah, you could dwell on that, and that would like totally ruin that whole experience for you.
Right.
So thank you for sharing that.
So
when you had signed up originally for coaching, you had fat loss as a goal.
You were well
on your way,
and then
you got pregnant. So goals shifted.
Big time.
We were able to still work on a lot of the mindset, anti-perfect stuff. And after coaching ended, now you're groupie. You're my Empowered Together Coaching Club, and you continue to work on your return to fitness post-baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell everyone a little about that.
Yeah, so the greatest thing was that I stayed active through my whole pregnancy with this idea that it didn't have to be perfect. Like, I was able to be kind with myself and say, you are growing a human, and it's okay if you only get out for a walk. And that was more than enough. And so it was just this idea of just keep moving, just do the best you can, and be kind to yourself, because you're literally growing a human. And so after I had my second daughter, I was able to just, after a few weeks, I was able to kind of get right back into it. And even that, I mean, I admit in the beginning, it was it was rough. I mean, I just had a baby, and 5 weeks after having a baby, I was running a 5K, and it was awful, and I felt awful, and because it's hard. I mean, I hadn't done anything in a while, but I was able to just stick with it and tell myself, like, this is just a moment in time. Like, this is just today. It's never going to be this worse ever again. And it only gets better, So just staying with it and knowing that just the fact I was out there was amazing.
Yeah, you weren't going to
set PR that day. That's for sure. Yeah.
Exactly. And that was okay. And it was like, I don't know, just being proud of the fact that I was brave enough to do it. Totally. And know that it wasn't, I could be last. I could finish completely last in that race. But the fact that I was able to just say, who cares? Who cares if I'm last? Will I survive? Absolutely. Was big for me. So,
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. Another thing that I want to point out to everybody about your outlook is that now you are much more in tune with what's aligned for you, rather than what it has to be or what things are supposed to look like. And I think that your recent example of switching up your half marathon race is a good example of that.
Yeah, so I have run 5 or 6 half marathons already. And every time I do them, I go online and I find the plan I'm going to do. And it usually has me running like 5 days a week. And I work full time. I have 2 kids. And every single time I would either follow it to the T, at which time I would be burnt out and miserable by halfway, 3/4 of the way through the plan. Or I would say, oh, forget it, who cares? And then show up to race day and not be prepared. And so I'm running the New York City Half Marathon on St. Patrick's Day. And so going into it, I had said, I'm going to, find my plan and stick with it as best I can. And I'm pretty much halfway through it and realized I hated it. I hated everything about my plan. I hated that I was strictly running and wasn't doing any weight training, wasn't doing any of the classes that I loved. I had, after I had my daughter, I found a gym that I really have enjoyed and was just missing that environment and missing, everything about that. And so I realized that it was more important for me to get to that half marathon and not be miserable doing it than stick with this training of running 5 days a week. And decided that I needed to do what was best for me at this time in my life. Like, so maybe 3 years from now, I run a half marathon and I stick with a plan and it's great. But for me today, I needed to do what was going to make me happy and still get me healthily to the start line. And so I changed it up. I don't know if it's going to be good, but I feel like it makes sense. I feel like looking at it and reevaluating it. But like, even for my mindset, like for me to even do that was a big deal. That was the biggest thing, because I have a ton of runner friends and I have a ton of people who go and make their plan and they stick to it to a T and all those things. And so for me to say that's not working for me, share that, switch it up, not knowing if I'm going to be successful with that is like a huge deal for me. Like I might show up and run my slowest half marathon ever, but at least I won't hate it.
Right. And if we hate it, we can't sustain it.
And
this whole example really speaks to wellness your way philosophy.
Right.
We can't do what anybody else is saying we have to do.
Right. And then when I kind of came to that conclusion, I went yesterday, I was like, I'm going to go for a little short run. Ran the fastest mile I'd run in years. Today went and did an upper body lifting class, which I feel so strong and so awesome after. And it's like, yeah, I made the right choice. This is what I should be doing. And I will get to the start line and I will still kick butt and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And what you're doing has to feel aligned. It has to feel joyful.
Right. We're not
always going to want to do it. Realistic, but overall, you can't hate it.
Right. And I was hating it. And I was getting burnt out already. And I knew that I needed to do something different.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Anything else about your new normal that you want to share with anyone?
I mean, I think definitely my eating. That's my biggest thing. So I came from
carbs.
Yay, team carbs. I came from a place where I wouldn't eat sweet potatoes because they were carbohydrates. I wouldn't eat a banana because it had too much sugar. Don't even talk about bread or, a bagel or like a piece of cake. Like those things were just not happening for me. Because I was so like deathly afraid that they were going to prevent me from losing weight. And because losing weight was my only goal, that I just wouldn't eat those things. And it was awful because I would like white knuckle through events or, if I did give in to this bad carbohydrate, then I failed. And it was awful. Now it's like, no, I eat the carbs and it's not even a thought anymore. It's just something. I'm just like, okay, I just ate it because I wanted it. I ate it. I moved on from it. I didn't die. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
And I moved on from it and just did what I would normally do. So instead of me saying, I want to eat this cupcake, now I have to make sure that I work out tomorrow. Like, no, I'm going to eat the cupcake because I want the cupcake. And it's going to be a darn good cupcake. And then I'm just going to work out tomorrow because I want to work out. And it fits into my schedule. I'm not going to say, I got to go do an hour of cardio because I had a cupcake. So that's my biggest change by far.
So much more
empowering.
And it's amazing because now I can just eat. Like, I'm not sitting here. Like, I had counted points and counted calories for so long. Like, after I had my first daughter, I was working out twice a day, straight cardio, and restricting myself to 1,000 or less calories a day. And that is awful. It is awful to live that way. And it's not sustainable. And now I haven't counted a calorie in a really long time. And I've continuously been losing a ton of weight and then getting stronger and I'm just healthier and fitter. And it's not about restricting what I do or doing anything like that. It's just about living now. It's not about dieting.
Love it.
And you know what? How many minutes are we into this interview? Losing weight until 20 minutes.
Yeah. That's, I think, the most amazing part of it for me. It's like the weight loss has become a nice byproduct of everything else. Like I am now, I mean, tonight I was working on my pull-up and my push-up, and it was so funny because I'm lifting some weights, and some of the girls in class were like, "You are a beast." And I was like, "Yeah, I am." But that's just a different way for me to look at things, where before I would have been like, no, I just want to be skinny, you know? And that was my only thing. I was so fixated on that. And now it's not even, like I said, it's great. Don't get me wrong. I love when I step on the scale and the number's a little lower, or my jeans fit a little looser. Like, that's wonderful. But I'm not doing all these things because of a number on the scale anymore, or what I weigh. It's like so much bigger than all of that.
Yeah, and that's when it all comes together. Like all of that, like so awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, my family as a whole is happier. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but for my husband, you were miserable. And you were unhappy.
Poor guy, right?
I know. I was like, sorry, I don't know. But I was the exact person who was like drinking my shake for breakfast. And again, I'm not saying a shake is a bad thing. I'm just saying that, like, for me, I would say, okay, I can have my fat-free yogurt for breakfast, and then I'm going to be starving by 10 o'clock, so I'm going to have a piece of fruit, but not a high-carb fruit, you know, and I don't know, like, I just don't even think like that anymore.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
awesome. I can't even tell you how, for me, just changing my mind has made me feel so much more successful. Not only with my fitness and my weight loss or whatever, but just in general. Like, I think I just carry myself differently.
Totally.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like, and I think, like I said, the biggest part for me too is having my daughter want to do it too. Like, my daughter will come, Mom, I'm going to pick a healthy snack. I'm like, go get it, you know? And it's not that she can't have these other things. It's that she understands that it's, you know, we do things in moderation. And so between, like, even seeing her start to adopt these things, and if I'm lifting weights in my living room, this actually happened a few weeks ago. She was like, Mom, hold on. And she runs upstairs and she puts on her sports bra and her little running pants. This is my 6-year-old. She comes downstairs and asks to lift weights with me. Like, that's a big deal to me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
she's not
incredible.
Standing on a scale. She's over here lifting weights. She wants to be strong like Mom. That's cute. Oh, that made me emotional.
I know. Getting misty.
It's true. Like, when you realize your child is wanting to adopt these healthy things too, that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge deal.
You're doing an awesome job. As a strong mom.
All right.
So what would you say to somebody who might be on the fence about joining coaching?
Oh my God, do it. Please do it. Like, just, if you commit yourself to it, I'm not going to tell you it's not going to be hard. It's going to be uncomfortable at times. Like, Athena will keep it real. Like, that's the biggest.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, like, you should absolutely do it and just give it a shot. I was like, oh, it's, you know, what is she going to tell me I don't already know? How am I going to pay somebody when I already know this stuff? And what I've gotten from it has just made me a better person. Like, not even, like I said, just in all aspects of my life. And I constantly find myself sending Athena pictures, being like, thank you for letting me see a different way. Like, thank you for helping me recognize that I am more than a number on the scale. And, yeah, so people, if you're on the fence about it, then you should absolutely just give it a shot. Like, go all in, say, you know what, I have tried. And that's what I remember I said to myself. I said, you know what, after 4 months or whatever, if this isn't for me, then it's just 4 months of my life. I'm not going to be any worse off than I am. And then, I mean, in my scenario, I ended up getting pregnant about 3 months in, But, you know, so I kind of changed my game plan, but I still, to this day, like, I've continued to work on all the things that we did in our initial coaching sessions. But
yeah, and I
think first of all, I'm going to get out. You're talking about that.
But I think
also it speaks to people that might be on the fence because the timing isn't right.
You know, look at
for you, how much you got out of this. The timing definitely wasn't right.
At least
halfway in.
Right. I mean, the thing is like, I feel like there's never going to be a right time. Like, there's never going to be a time that you're like, oh, now is where I'm ready to commit and do it. Like, we all have 1,000 reasons why. Like, 1,000 reasons why we can't do whatever. And I think once it stops being a diet or a have to do these things and it just becomes your life, you find the time for it because it's your life. It's not like another to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's automated.
Yeah, it's just expected, you know? Like, now my daughter will be like, oh, did you go to the gym? I'm like, of course. Like, I don't look like this for fun, but like, it's just a normal thing. It's not a question anymore. It's just part of who I am. And it's not a stressful thing. It's just something I want to do, not something I have to do.
Love it.
Love. Awesome.
Does anybody
who's watching live have any questions for me or for Liz?
I'll give you guys
a couple seconds for comments.
And I gotta
figure out next time. Sorry, guys.
How awesome is Liz?
Thumbs up. I'm checking comments.
Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm over here. I'm reading comments. I figured out how to read the comments.
Oh, is this your first
Facebook Live?
I know, this is so exciting. I never did this before.
Well, I'm super grateful that you took the time tonight. I know clearly you're a busy person, working all the time, momming, running.
So I really appreciate that, and it's really powerful to hear a story from someone that's been through themselves.
Cindy says,
you said that it makes it real. Can you give an example of how I do that?
So I think for me, it was sometimes that tough love situation where you're saying, oh, I don't have time for this, or, oh, I don't know, but it's not like, I can remember saying to her, I only have 40 minutes today, and I know my whole workout is going to would take me a full hour. She would just, instead of just saying, okay, we'll just do the 40 minutes, it would be, okay, why are you thinking that it's bad that you only do 40 minutes? Like, it was kind of like challenging, it was more than just like the workout. So it was like constantly almost like pushing what I was thinking. Do you know what I mean? Like pushing, like challenging my thoughts, like not in a bad way of challenging my thoughts, but if I was like, oh, well, I'm only going to get in an hour, instead of, she would say, okay, well, why do you think that that's not good? Or, you know what I mean? Like, what is making you, like, why are you thinking this way? And like I said, it's in my thought of saying, keeping it real, it's, kind of that constant challenging why you're thinking the way you're thinking, and why you're maybe even feeling the way you are. Like, why do you feel like you feel at that? Or is that setting you up like for your best life or your best, your best day or whatever it may be, So I think that's what I mean by keeping it real. Just that constant, like, pushing you to be your best and not just lose weight or get in all your reps,
Yeah.
It's a great question, Cindy. And for me, from my own perspective, I always want to try my clients to think about their thoughts and their actions
in a way that
they can think of it on their own.
How can we look
at the sweet?
Mm-hmm. And
I also think it's real because I'm a coach that's not going to tell you give all the things in order to get that loss.
Right. I think it was like just a really good balance of, you know, I kind of went into it thinking, okay, this coach is going to tell me don't eat the cupcake or don't drink the glass of wine. And in reality, she's like, no, you should eat the cupcake. Like, cupcakes are great. You know?
Yeah, but it's a matter
of figuring out what matters, what food matters.
Mm-hmm.
When does the cupcake, when is it more important to eat it, and when is it to skip it?
Right. Yeah. Well, that's like I always joke about, I was saying how I wanted a donut. And I was like, but I want it to be like this amazing, delicious, super duper donut. Like not something from Dunkin' or the grocery store. Like I want it to be like phenomenal. And I'm still waiting to like come across amazing, phenomenal donut. Because for me, like it's not worth it to me if it's just some mediocre donut, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to eat the donut because it's not like it's not a big deal anymore. That's the whole thing. It's not a big deal. It just is.
Yeah.
Cindy, I hope
that answered your question.
Trudy is
saying that I'll call her on the bullshit.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
I will.
When you're like, oh, I can't do blah, blah, blah. She'll be like, no, do it. Like, you can do it.
I'll call the bullshit, but in a very compassionate way.
Well, it's like, okay, why are you thinking you can't do it? Or how can we approach this differently? Or, you know, how can we kind of, again, change it? Like, what can we do differently for yourself to make you be successful?
Yeah. Cindy also wants to drink coffee.
I work full time and I have 2 kids. Of course, I drink coffee.
Lots of questions.
Cindy, we gotta talk, girl. How much water do you drink?
Message me, girlfriend. I'll tell you all you want to know. But no, what I do is the way that I do it is I just fill up. I have like a smaller shaker bottle. I think it's 16 or 20 ounces. I fill it with water. Bring it in the car with me on my way to work. Then I stop at Dunkin' and I get my coffee. And it goes into the second cup holder. And I do not touch my coffee at all until after I'm at my desk at work. And so I drink my water on my drive to work. And I literally will not let myself get out of the car until I finish that bottle of water to start my day. And so I found that making myself do that, I've started, you know, at least my day with some water intake. And then, I mean, I'll be honest with you, like last week, I totally struggled with water. And so I was like, I got to get back to doing the water before coffee. And that was like, let me start. And this was just a little thing, like a tiny little thing that I had brought to our empowered group where I was like, I'm struggling with my water intake. I know I'm not having enough water. I can tell by the way I feel, but I'm having a hard time just doing it. And so we like strategized ways to just get that water in and not have it be like such a big thing, you know?
Yeah,
and with the whole like wellness philosophy around it, like we didn't think earth-shattering. We just revisited what you know has worked for the past.
Right.
We were able to
find it.
Yeah. And that's what it was. Like, I mean, I've had times where, I mean, it's not, you know, I want to keep it real with you guys. It's not like I just wake up every day and I'm like, yay, like it's perfect and everything is perfect and I love working out and I love eating healthy. Like, no, I mean, I'm not going to pretend that some of that other stuff doesn't taste delicious or that it's hard to get your workout in sometimes, but you know, it's just more times than not, I want to do those things. Yeah. It's not a chore.
Love it. Any other questions, guys? I actually have one more question for you, Liz. I wanted to speak a little bit about interacting in the Facebook group.
So
a lot of my clients that work with one-on-one or in my wellness your way end up joining a Power Together Coaching Club after, which is a part of. And for anyone who might be on the fence about doing wellness your way, because of the Facebook component of it, the group coaching in the Facebook, what would you say to somebody about that kind of access to me?
I love that group of people. Like these women, I'm telling you, I feel like I don't know, like I've gotten so close to these people in this group that I feel like they have become kind of like an offshoot of Athena too. So I can post an issue or a question, and it's so funny because I'll already have all these responses from everybody else, and then Athena will be like, yup.
I know you guys make my job easy.
Yeah, right? But it's like I don't know, that group, it allows you access to Athena so you can still ask your questions, you can still talk through your struggles, but you also have all these other people that are like cheering for you and supporting you and helping you talk through your stuff. And then you get to be that person for them. And it was just, it was just pretty amazing how this group of women that I didn't know from anything is like some of the people that I count on the most and that I share the most with and feel the most supported by, because we're all kind of in the same boat, and even though we may be at different stages of our life, I mean, there's way younger people, there's older people, there's single, married, kids, no kids, everything, everybody in different stages of their life. Like we all have become each other's support system, and Athena kind of is there to help facilitate it and, just encourage us to, like she'll kind of challenge some of those things. Like, okay, why are you feeling this way? Or can we look at things like with my water thing? Like, do you have opportunities where you could have water? Can you bring water to your meeting? Like just things that I hadn't even thought of. So it's like she, helps facilitate that group as well. So it's like my favorite part of it.
Thank you. I think another benefit is that you get to see everybody else as well. And learn from each other. So I wanted to bring that up because I know that joining a group coaching program feels foreign to a lot of people. And so I think the full support part of it is huge.
Yeah, and I think once you realize that nobody's judging you, everybody, like you ask questions and everybody is so willing to, help you, and you realize that, I think once you start to realize, it's funny because I think when I first joined, I was super quiet and I wouldn't ask questions and I was afraid. And then Athena would be like, "Well, post it in the group." And I'm like, okay, I guess so. Everybody would start to respond and give me feedback. And then I would find myself like, I went through something similar. Let me share my experience. And then, they would learn from something I had already gone through. And so it's just, I don't know. It's like I said, it's become part of like it's so funny because I feel like some people in that group are some of my closest friends, and yet we're not like friends outside of this, but I would be if I lived in Boston.
Totally.
Yeah. It's just an amazing, like I said, once you realize that nobody's there to judge you, everybody's there to support you, Athena's there to support you, you come in there with those wins too. That's the other thing. And you have a win and you're like, guys, guess what I did today? And they get it. They understand when you say, I think, I can't remember what it was. I can't remember if I was like, oh, I ate something and I just ate it and I moved on and it was no big deal. They understood that was a big win for me, and everybody celebrated it.
Yeah, someone else.
Like, oh, so what? Who cares? But for you, that was accomplished.
Yeah, like it was a huge deal for me to not restrict myself or to think in a restrictive mindset, and they were like, that's amazing. Where everybody else was like, so you ate pizza and that's a win? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love it.
Awesome. All right. So hopefully that can clarify about if anybody had any questions on that.
So
we'll call it for time now, but if anybody has any follow-up questions for Liz, throw them in the comments. She's more than happy to answer.
And if
anybody has any questions for me,
based on
what Liz said or about my coaching style, Wellness Your Way, any of my other programs, throw those in the comments too.
All right.
Thank you so much for being on. This was awesome. We had fun.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
All right. Bye, guys.